And welcome back to Love Your Food. This week we have an extremely quick and simple recipe for you. We are making shrimp fritters. So these are very simple. We are just adding a few little ingredients to this, a little bit of cheese and some green onions to add a little bit of flavor. Very, very quick little recipe that you can make just on a whim, very easy. And here's our ingredients. So we've got some pre-cooked shrimp, just little tiny ones, some sparkling water, some all-purpose flour. We're using an egg, a little bit of hot sauce, so this is some of our homemade hot sauce here, some cheese, and some green onions. So we're going to do a little bit of mise en place before we start putting everything together. We're going to chop our cheese first. So we've got these snacking cheeses, and we're using Havarti here. But you can use whatever you like. We've used Gouda as well, and these just add a little bit of richness to the dish, and the bits of cheese that end up on the outside of the fritters, where they hit the oil in the pan, will have this really lovely sort of crispiness to them. So we really enjoy adding a little bit of cheese to these fritters. It's quite nice. Same thing with the green onions. We're going to get these ready before we get going. So we're just going to chop these and make sure that they're pretty fine. We don't want big chunks or anything. These add this really nice bulbiness to the recipe, as well as the ones that end up on the outside of the fritters have this lovely sort of seared, crispy texture to them as well. So then we're going to crack our egg into a measuring cup. And we're just going to give that a little bit of a mix. And then in goes our hot sauce. So this is one of our pickled hot pepper relishes. We made this mostly with different kinds of green peppers, and I'll put a card with the link to the recipe above here. And we're just going to give that a good little whisk together with a fork until it's all well combined. And then we're going to add that to our all-purpose flour. And you can just give that a little stir to get started. And then we're going to start adding our sparkling water. Now we're using sparkling water called Sapsucker. This is a Canadian product that is actually made from maple sap. So it has a very, very faint maple aroma, sort of maple flavor to it. And it has a tiny bit of residual sugar, which in this recipe does help things brown a little bit on the outside of our fritters. But if you want to use regular sparkling water, that is fine. Now the amount you use is going to depend on how dry it is where you are, how dry your flour is. So you want to make sure you're adding it as you need. And you may need more, you may need a little bit less. So just be pretty conservative with how you're adding your sparkling water to this. And the carbonation just adds a little bit of lightness and fluffiness to the final dish. So there we go. That's all mixed together. That's about as far as we want to take it. You don't want to overmix it. And we're going to add our shrimp now. We have already sort of drained these. They were quite wet, but we want them to be more dry before we add them to this. So if your shrimp are quite moist, do give them a squeeze to make sure they're pretty dry before they go in. We're also going to add in our cheese. And then in goes the green onion that we chopped a little while ago. And then a little dash of salt. And then we're just going to mix this until it's all well combined. Now you see it's a pretty loose batter. It's not like a dumpling or something like that where you would be forming it and then cooking it. This is a very, very loose batter. But it does hold everything together very nicely. So we're just going to stir this until everything is well coated, well combined. Then we've got some really hot oil in our pan on the stove here. We're just going to make little dollops. If you want to make sure that they're all about the same size, use a measuring cup. We're using a half cup measure here. Actually, that may be a quarter cup measure. I apologize. And that will make sure that your fritters are all about the same size. Once they're nice and golden on one side, we're going to flip those over and let them cook all the way through on the other side as well. And you just want to make sure they're nice and golden on both sides and hot all the way through, and they're ready to go. So we're just going to take those out of the oil. We're going to let them drain. Now we did salt the batter a little bit, so you can sprinkle these with a little bit of salt when they come out of the oil. We do recommend that, but be a little bit conservative. And then we'll just open one of these up, and you can see inside nice and fluffy and light. You've got those beautiful pieces of shrimp. You've got a little bit of that crispy cheese on the outside, that nice sharp green onion all the way through, and they're a little bit spicy from that hot sauce. This is delicious. It's a great side dish for so many things. You can just serve it as a snack. Absolutely delicious, and we hope you'll give this one a try. If you like this recipe, please do like and subscribe, and if you have any recipes you'd like to see Chef Caleb try on the channel, please let us know in the comments below. And remember to love your food.